mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. On today's video tutorial, guys, we are going to be tackling question 4.2 from the grade 12 Mathematical Literacy Paper 1 that was written in June 2022, right? And in this video tutorial, guys, we are going to be focusing on water tariffs, right? So I've been getting a lot of requests from learners asking me to go through water tariffs, right? So this is definitely that video tutorial that you guys have been asking for. Before we get started, guys, please make sure that you have your notepads, your examination pads, right? You've got your highlighters, right? And you take down these important points because they will really help you when it comes to analyzing questions that deal with your water tariffs, right? Again, before we get started with our video tutorial, guys, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you've clicked on that notification bell so that you get notified every single time I upload a new video tutorial, guys. And also don't forget to give this video tutorial a huge thumbs up because that will really help the channel grow and it will help the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics marks. So without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. So like I mentioned, guys, in today's video tutorial, we are going to be tackling question 4.2, and question 4.2 is us basically tackling a question that deals with water tariffs, right? So please make sure that you pay attention as you go through this entire video tutorial. Okay, so before we get started with now having a look at the question that is given to us here, let me just give you guys just a brief explanation of what water tariffs is about. As you guys all know, right, water is supplied to our homes by a network of water pipes from a water source, right? And when you use that water, right, you will be billed according to a tiered system of tariffs, right? So what is a tiered, right? I'll put the word down here. What is a tiered system of tariffs, right? So what that basically means is that a tiered system or a tiered tariff system is a pricing structure that increases, right, as the number of units, right, that you use increase, so that those who consume more, right, more water in this case, will pay more. Okay, what am I talking about? What do I mean by all of this? How is this important to the question that we are going to be looking at today, right? So let's just have a quick look at what we are given here, right? So if you have a look here, right, at this Cape Town region, you will notice as we go down the column, right, if you've basically used between 0 kiloliters to 6 kiloliters of water, you pay 15 Rand and 10 cents, right, per kiloliter that you use, okay? If you've used between 6 kiloliters to 10.50 kiloliters, you will pay 20 Rand and 75 cents per kiloliter that you use, right? So what are we noticing here? The more kiloliters or the more water that you use, the more you pay. Okay, so that is basically what I mean when I talk about a tiered system of tariff, right? Is that the pricing structure when it comes to your water tariffs, right, is made in a way that the more water you use, right, the more you will pay, right? And they basically do this so that those who consume more pay more, right? So that is basically what I meant by that, okay? So I think now we're more than ready to basically get started with the question and see what is basically required of us. All right, question 4.2. John considers moving from Toronto in Canada to either Cape Town or Ekurhuleni in South Africa. Annexure C shows a comparison of the water tariffs in some of the metropolitan areas in South Africa. John estimates that he will use an average of 45 kiloliters of water per month Okay, we need to use an extra C to answer the questions that follow. John states that if he chooses to live in Cape Town, he will be paying 3,600 more per year compared to a person living in Ekurhuleni, right? Okay, who also uses an average of 45 kiloliters of water per month. Show by means of calculations whether John's statement is correct. Okay, so what we are going to be doing here is we are going to be calculating how much John would pay if he stayed in Cape Town when it comes to his water bill, how much he would pay if he stayed in Ekurhuleni when it comes to his water bill, and we are going to be comparing the two. All right, so let's have a look. So we're going to be focusing on two columns here, right? Because we are told that here we've got a comparison of water tariffs in some metropolitan areas in South Africa, right? We want to basically compare how much he would pay if he stayed in Cape Town. So that's the first one that we're going to be focusing on. And how much he would pay if he stayed in Ekurhuleni, right? So that is the second part that we are going to be focusing on. Okay. Let's have a look at this information that is given to us, right? So let's start with Cape Town. We are told that the monthly use in kiloliters, right? So there's a fixed monthly cost that John needs to pay, irrespective of how much his bill is, right? So he needs to always pay this fixed monthly cost of 104 Rand and 50 cents, right? We are told that if he uses between 0 to 6 kiloliters of water, he pays 15 Rand and 10 cents, right? If he uses between 6 kiloliters to 10.5 kiloliters, he needs to pay 20 Rand and 75 cents per kiloliter. We are told that if he uses between 10.5 kiloliters to 35 kiloliters, he needs to pay 28 Rand and 20 cents per kiloliter. And if he uses more than 35 kiloliters, he needs to pay 52 Rand and 4 cents per kiloliter, right? So what do all these intervals mean? Because that is basically where most students get confused. What does this mean, right? If he uses between 0 to 6 kiloliters, if he uses between 6 to 10.5 kiloliters, if he uses between 10.5 to 35 kiloliters, if he uses more than 35 kiloliters, how could we visualize those intervals that are given to us, right? Please pay attention to the next slide, right? So basically what this means, imagine this is like a JoJo tank, né? Okay? And in this JoJo tank, we are pouring in water. Okay, so if there's no water in this JoJo tank, right, we've basically used what? 0 kiloliters, right? Because we haven't basically poured or used any water, right? Okay, so if there's no water in this JoJo tank, we are on that 0 kiloliter mark because, I mean, no water has been added into our JoJo tank, all right? So now we start opening this tap, right? And we start now putting water into our JoJo tank, né? And then we pour this water until it reaches this point here, this 6 kiloliter point there, right? So how much water did we actually use in this region? How much water did we actually use? We used 6 kiloliters of water, right? Because we had no water, then we added water until it reached the 6 kiloliter mark. That means that we used 6 kiloliters of water. Okay, meaning from the interval of, okay, I'll call this the first region. This is our first region, region 1. I'll call this the second region, region 2. I'll call this the third region, region 3. And this whole part is region 3. And I'll call this the fourth region. Okay, that part there is our region 4. Okay, so in the first region, we used 6 kiloliters of water. Okay, and then let's say that mark there, we're going to call this the 10.5 kiloliter mark, right? And that mark there, we are going to call it 35 kiloliters. So if the water reaches that point there, we will have 35 kiloliters of water. And lastly, we'll call this mark here when our JoJo tank is completely full. We'll call this 45 kiloliters. All right. So let's see what is going on. Let's continue. So now we continue to pour water, right? Okay. Remember, we are on the 6 kiloliter mark, right? And we continue to now pour water into our JoJo tank until we reach this point here, right? Until we reach our 10.50 kiloliters, right? Mark. Okay. So now we've basically poured 10.5 kiloliters of water. However, we just want to know how much water was poured in our region 2, right? So how do we get the amount of water that was poured into our region 2? We will take that 10.5 kiloliters and you minus the 6 kiloliters to get how much water was poured in there, right? So if you take 10.5 and you minus your 6, you will find that 4.5 kiloliters of water was poured in that region, so that we get to that 10.5 kiloliter mark. Okay, let's continue. We continue to pour water into our JoJo tank, okay, until we reach that 35 kiloliter mark. Okay, so we continue to pour water, until we reach that 35 kiloliter mark. However, we want to find out how much water was poured into the third region, right? So what do? Still, you take the 35 kiloliter and you minus what? The 10.50 kiloliter, right? To get how much water was actually used in this region, or actually poured into this region. Okay, so if you punch that into your calculator, you'll find that 24.5 kiloliters of water was poured into our third region, right? And lastly, okay, we open up the tap and we pour water into our JoJo tank, until we reach that 45 kiloliter mark, right? And we want to now determine how much water was poured into our fourth region, okay? So to get how much water was poured into our fourth region, guys, you just take that 45 kiloliters and you minus it by the 35 kiloliters to get how much water we poured in our fourth region, and you'll find that it is 10 kiloliters of water. Okay, so basically here, all these intervals, okay, the 0 to 6, the 6 to 10.5 kiloliters, the 10.5 to 35 kiloliters, and the water that is greater, right, than 35, but I stopped at 45 because we are told that John uses only 45 kiloliters of water, right, is basically what we are given here, right? All these intervals, 0 to 6, from 6 to 10.5, from 10.5 to 35, and from 35 to 45, right? That is basically what I have here, right? And to explain what is going on is like, if you have no water in the tank and you start pouring water up until your 6 kiloliters, how much water did you pour? 6 kiloliters of water, right? And then you continue pouring, right, from the 6 kiloliters to your 10.5 kiloliters, right? How much water did you pour in that region? 4.5 kiloliters of water. Then from the 10.5 kiloliter to 35 kiloliters, how much water did you pour in this region? 24.5 kiloliters. And from 35 kiloliters to 45, I specifically said 45 here because we're not given, it doesn't go up to 45. But I've gone up to 45 because we are told that John uses how many kiloliters of water? 45. So in this case, I went all the way up to 45 and we found that only 10 kiloliters of our water was poured in our region 4. Okay, so this is basically the analogy that we're going to use to help us answer the questions that are given to us, right? So we already know that in the first interval, all right, in this first interval, right, he only used 6 kiloliters, okay? In the second interval, he only used 4.5 kiloliters, okay? In the third interval, okay, he only used 24.5 kiloliters, right? And in the fourth interval, he used how much? 10 kiloliters of water. So now we are going to now use these values that we've basically calculated in these different regions to get how much John needs to pay towards his water bill. Okay, so what do we first need to do? So to get the total amount of money that John needs to pay for his water bill, we're going to first take the fixed cost of 104 Rand and 50 cents because he pays that amount every month. Okay, so we're going to take that fixed cost plus, okay, plus in the first interval, we were told that, okay, we know in the first interval, he basically used 6 kiloliters. So you're going to take that 6 kiloliters and you're going to multiply that by how much he gets charged per kiloliter, right, in the first interval. And we see that in the first interval per kiloliter, right, for 1 kiloliter that he uses, right, he needs to pay 15 Rand and 10 cents, okay? So in this case, because he used 6 kiloliters in this interval, right, he needs to pay 6 times the 15.10 cents. Okay, so 6 times 15.10, right? Okay, and when you punch it into your calculator, you'll find that he pays 90 Rand and 60 cents, right? In the second interval, we calculated that he used 4.5 kiloliters of water, right? Then we go back to our NHC, right? If you're in the second interval, how much do you pay? 20 Rand and 75 cents per kiloliter that you use. Okay, so we're going to take that 4.5 kiloliter and you multiply it by 20.75 and you will get 93 Rand 0.375 cents. Let's go to the third interval. We found that in the third region, he used 24.50 kiloliters of water, right? Let's find how much he pays per kiloliter in the third region. We see that he pays 28 Rand and 20 cents. Okay, if you punch that into your calculator, the total that he paid there is 690.90 cents. And in the fourth region, he only used 10 kiloliters of water, right? And then how much does he get charged in the fourth region? He gets charged 52 Rand and 4 cents per kiloliter that he uses, okay? So we're going to multiply that by 52.04, okay? If you punch that into your calculator, you'll find that it's 520.40 cents. So now if we add up all these amounts, the fixed monthly cost of 104.50 plus the 90.60 plus the 93.375 plus the 690.90 plus the 520.40, okay, you will get that the total cost for his water, right, if he stays in Cape Town, will be 1,499.78, right, per month. All right. However, we are not done, right? We have to calculate the Cape Town, how much you would pay if he stayed in Cape Town and how much you would pay if he stayed in Ekurhuleni, right? So let's go to our Ekurhuleni part, right? So I've got that JoJo tank still, right, that I'm going to use to help explain what is going on when it comes to the intervals that are given to us, right? Okay, again, we are pouring water into our JoJo tank, right? Initially, in our JoJo tank, there is no water. So it's safe for us to say that this point there is equal to 0 kiloliters, right? Because no water has been added. So when there's no water, it's 0 kiloliters, okay? Okay, and then let's see, what are the intervals that are given to us for Ekurhuleni, right? So let us see. So the intervals that are given to us for Ekurhuleni, those are the intervals that are given to us for Ekurhuleni. So you're going to go from 0 to 6, from 6 to 15, from 15 to 30, from 30 to 45, right? So from 0 to 6, from 0 to 6 kiloliters, right? From 0, that's the 0, to 6 kiloliters, right? From 6 to 15, okay, from 6 to 15 kiloliters, from 15 to 30, from 15 to 30 kiloliters, and from 30 to 45, from 30 to 45. So that point there is our 45, okay? That's our 45 kiloliters, okay? So then we don't have water in our JoJo tank. Then we open now the tap and we start pouring water into our tank, ne? So when we pour water into our tank, right, until we reach that 6 kiloliter mark, how much water have we actually poured into our tank? We've poured 6 kiloliters of water. Okay, we're going to call that our region 1. This is our region 1, okay? Then we continue to pour water, right? More water, right? Remember, we are on this mark here. We're on the 6 kiloliter mark, right? And we continue to pour more water into our tank, right? So when we continue to pour water until we reach our 15 kiloliter mark, how much water have we actually poured into our tank, right? We have poured your 15 kiloliters minus your 6 kiloliters, right? So 15 kiloliters minus 6 kiloliters means that in our second region, we'll call that region 2 here, we have poured 9 kiloliters of water, okay? Then we continue, right? We pour more water, right? Until we reach that 30 kiloliter mark, okay? Okay. However, we want to find out how much water did we pour in our region 3. Okay, how much water did we pour there? To get how much water we poured there, we're going to take that 30 kiloliters minus 15 kiloliters, right? To get how much? 15 kiloliters of water. So in region 3, we poured 15 kiloliters. So to move from 15 kiloliters to 30 kiloliters, that means that we poured 15 kiloliters of water, right? And then we continue, we still pour more water into our JoJo tank until we reach that 45 kiloliter mark, right? So if we originally had 30 kiloliters of water and we poured until we got to 45 kiloliters of water, how much water did we pour in this region, right? In region number 4, to get how much water we poured there, we just take that 45 kiloliters and you minus it with the 30 kiloliters to get how much water we added in our region 4, and you'll find that it was 15 kiloliters of water. Okay, so we were at 0 kiloliters of water. We added 6 kiloliters of water. From that 6 kiloliters, we added another 9 kiloliters of water to put us at 15 kiloliters. From that 15 kiloliters, we added another 15 kiloliters to get to 30 kiloliters. And from that 30 kiloliters, we added 15 kiloliters to get to your 45 kiloliters, all right? So that is basically what is going on with these intervals that are given to us here, right? That is how we can picture what is going on practically, right? You've got a JoJo tank, you've got no water, you start adding water into your JoJo tank, right? The intervals that you are given, you can just put them as marks on that JoJo tank, right? And then you think, right, if you had no water and you added 6 kiloliters, how much water do you actually have? That is 6. From there, right, to get to 15 kiloliters, how much water did you add? 9 kiloliters, right? So that is basically how we navigate that there. Okay, so now we need to basically calculate the total cost that he pays, right? Or that he would pay if he would stay in Ekurhuleni, right? Okay, let's have a look at what we are given here. When it comes to Ekurhuleni, the fixed monthly cost, we are given that NA. That NA basically means not applicable, right? So that means that the fixed monthly cost for Ekurhuleni is 0.00. Okay, then we're gonna go on and now calculate how much he now paid for each and every interval, right? Or each and every region, okay? So I'm gonna say in our region 1, right, he used 6 kiloliters of water. So if he uses between 0 to 6 kiloliters of water, how much does he pay? If he uses between 0 to 6 kiloliters of water, how much does he pay? 13 rand and 50 cents. Kiloliters, so you're going to multiply that by 13 rand and 50 cents, because for 1 kiloliter that he uses, he needs to pay 13 rand and 50 cents. However, how many kiloliters did he use? He used 6, so you need to take that 6 and you multiply it by 13 rand and 50. And if you do that, you'll find that you get 81 rand, okay? In the second region, how much water did he use? He used 9 kiloliters of water. I'm going to take that 9 kiloliters of water, right? And you have a look. If he uses between 6 to 15 kiloliters of water, he needs to pay 22 rand and 24 cents per kiloliter, right? So you need to multiply this 9 by 22 rand and 24 cents. And when you punch it into your calculator, you'll get 200 rand. So in the third region, we saw that he used 15 kiloliters of water. So let's just have a look at our third region here, right? So this is our third region. If you use between 15 kiloliters to 30 kiloliters of water, you need to pay 27 rand and 24 cents per kiloliter. So if you punch it into your calculator, you'll find that he basically pays 408 rand and 60 cents, right, for the third region. And let's look at the fourth region. How much water did he use? He used 15 kiloliters of water, right? So if you multiply that by, if you use between 45 to 30 kiloliters, 30 and 45, you pay 33 rand and 90 cents per kiloliter. Okay, if you punch it into your calculator, you'll get 508 and 50 cents. Okay, so if you add up all these costs together, you'll find that if he stays in Ekurhuleni, he will pay 1,198.26 cents, right? However, we haven't answered the question. Remember, we were asked, he said that if he stays in Cape Town, he will be paying 3,600 more per year compared to a person living in Ekurhuleni, right? So now what we basically need to do here, right? We need to take the amount that we got for the Cape Town. Okay, so if we take that 1,499.78, right, that he would pay if he stayed in Cape Town, and we minus that with the 1,198.26 that he would pay if he stayed in Ekurhuleni, that would basically give us the difference, or how much more he would actually pay, right, if he stayed in Cape Town. Because I'm sure you can see that the amount that he pays in Cape Town is more than how much he would pay if he stayed in Ekurhuleni, right? So we need to take those two amounts and we subtract them from each other, right? So that 1,499.78, and you minus it with 1,198.26, you'll get that, okay? He pays 301.52. So this answer basically tells us that if he were to basically stay in Cape Town, he would pay 301 rand and 52 cents more per month, right, than he would pay if he was staying in Ekurhuleni. However, we basically were told here that we need to find out how much more he would pay per year, right? So only what we've just calculated here is how much more he would pay per month. So to get how much more he would pay per year, you need to take that 301.52 and you need to multiply it by 12 months, okay? Because we've got 12 months in a year, okay? And if you do that, you'll find that he will pay 3,618 rand and 24 cents more per year if he stayed in Cape Town, right? So now, is his statement correct? Okay, from his statement, guys, remember, he said that if he chooses to live in Cape Town, he will be paying 3,600 more, right? However, from what we've calculated, we can see that he actually is going to be paying 3,618 rand and 24 cents more, right? So you've got 18 rand and 24 cents more than what he actually said, right? So from there we can conclude that if he stays in Cape Town, he will be paying 3,618 rand 24 cents more than a person staying in Ekurhuleni. Therefore, we can conclude that his statement is incorrect, right? His statement is incorrect. So this video was quite a mouthful, right? It was a lot to dissect, but what is very important, right, in this case is that I basically used the JoJo tank here to basically explain what is going on with the intervals, right? We're given from 0 to 6, from 6 to 10.5, from 10.5 to 35, from 35 to 45, right? Now I explained that if there's no water in your JoJo tank, that's like saying we've got 0 kiloliters of water. We have no water, zilch, 0, nada, no water, so 0 kiloliters. Then we start adding water until we reach the 6 kiloliter mark, right? Once we reach that 6 kiloliter mark, how much water do we have in the JoJo tank? We've got 6 kiloliters because we've added 6 kiloliter worth of water, okay? Then we continue. We were here, né? In this point there. We continue to add water until we get to the 10.5 kiloliters. However, we can't say that in region 2, we added 10.5 kiloliters of water. No. In this region alone, we only added 4.5 kiloliters because we had 6 kiloliters of water. We added until we got to 10.5. So how much water did we actually add in this region? We took that 10.5 minus 6. Okay, then we continue. We are at 10.5 kiloliters of water. Okay, we added more water until we got to 35 kiloliters of water. So in this region, right, region 3, how much water did we actually add? 24.5 kiloliters of water, okay, right? And then if we were at the 35 kiloliter mark and we added water until we got to 45 kiloliters, right? How much water did we add in our 4th region? You take your 45 minus 35 to find that we added 10 kiloliters of water, right? And then we were given the different rates that are charged, right? Depending on which region you're on, okay? So if you're on the first region, as I was explaining it, okay, you're going to basically the first region, which is from 0 to 6 kiloliters, you're going to pay 15 rand and 10 cents per kiloliter. Right. So for 1 kiloliter of water that you use, you're going to pay 15 rand and 10 cents. However, because here we used 6 kiloliters of water and not 1, you need to take that 6 and you multiply it with 15.10 to get how much he needs to pay. We continue. In the second region, he only used 4.5 kiloliters. Then we have to look at the rates that they charge us. For if you're between the region 6 to 10.5, we are told that it's 20.75 rand per kiloliter. So we basically took that 45 kiloliters and we multiplied by 20.75 to get how much he now needed to pay. And we continued in that way, okay? Another important thing here is that there was a fixed monthly cost, okay? Irrespective of how much water you use, you need to pay that fixed monthly cost of 104 rand and 50 cents. So we add that to the rest of the amounts that we calculated to get the total cost for Cape Town. Same thing that we did in Ekurhuleni, right? And then we compared the two, right? Obviously, you can see that he paid more for Cape Town, okay? So we take the amount for Cape Town minus the amount for Johannesburg to find that actually, if he stays in Cape Town, he pays 301 Rand and 52 cents more than he would pay if he stayed in Johannesburg, right? However, we're not done. This just gives us the monthly, how much more he would pay monthly, right? Okay. However, we want to find out how much more he would pay per year, because this 301.52 is just the monthly price, or how much more he pays monthly. So we needed to multiply the 301.52 by 12 to get that he pays 3,618.24 Rand more per year if he stayed in Cape Town, right? And then from there, we could just compare the answer that we have to his initial statement. And we see that the answer that we have is more than his initial statement. Therefore, right, if he stays in Cape Town, he will be paying 3,618 Rand and 24 cents more than a person staying in Ekurhuleni. Therefore, his statement was incorrect. Okay, because in his statement, he said 3.6, but what we calculated was 3.618.24. Okay, right. So I hope I explained this water tariffs in a way that you guys are able to grasp, right? We're going to be doing more questions. Fear not. We're going to be doing more questions, so please don't panic. But if you have grasped this concept, you can tackle any question. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video tutorial, right? I tried to be as detailed as possible when it comes to this question, right? In the next video tutorial, guys, we are going to be obviously doing question 5.1, right? So it's the second last question. And this question basically deals with taxation, right? So please make sure that you've clicked on that notification bell, because yeah, these last few questions, yeah, that's when you know if you've got people that are studying or people that are just playing. Okay, so please make sure that you are following and you're watching these video tutorials, because this is where we are now applying concepts that we have learned. Taxation, tariff systems, right? So please make sure that you do not skip these video tutorials, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I made it fun for you guys. And I'll see you guys on my next video tutorial. That is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.